You're listening to Keith Sports News. Hello, hello. Happy Monday. That's right. Big weekend for American football, and that is pretty much what this episode is going to be about. Welcome to episode 8 of KSN. Alright. So, playoff football. That is the topic. And we have to start excuse me. We have to start off with the second semifinal of the college football playoff from Friday night, because that was the first thing that happened in this football weekend. All right. So, the shirt that I'm wearing, yes, look, of course, that wild card weekend, we will get to that in a little bit. But the second semifinal of the college football playoff between Ohio State and Texas, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. That's right. And it was a huge game, a very huge game. And, you know, just like in the other semifinal matchup, you can watch the game on 5 different networks. So I chose to watch it on ESPNU, which is the command center where you have 2 different camera angles side by side, and the score bug is on top, and at the bottom you have the bottom left and the bottom right are the coach's cam, and in the middle of the bottom is the team's stats: yards, passes, turnovers, penalties, all that. And it's the same announcers, Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit. And yeah, I enjoyed watching that. And what can you say, man? Dallas, Arlington, and AT&T Stadium. A lot of Texas fans were there, but there were also a lot of Ohio State fans as well, because these are 2 teams looking to go to the national championship game. Remember, this is Texas' first season in the SEC conference, so it's great. You know, they were in last year's semifinal, in their last year in the Big 12, and here they are in the semifinal again in their first year in the SEC. I picked Ohio State to win in my Bowl Mania challenge, okay? And I wanted them to win. I usually cheer who I pick to win because I don't have a favorite team. All right? And I don't have a least favorite team. So it was a great game. I thought my prediction was it was going to be a much higher scoring game than the first semifinal, but it turns out it was also a low scoring game. Okay? So let me pull up ESPN.com, because on here you can look at any game, the stats and all that good stuff for the teams, the game recap. All right. So I'm on here. Scoring summary, that's what I like to look at. So, Ohio State scored first in the first quarter, 7-0. Second quarter, with less than a minute left, Texas scored. Game's tied at 7-7, right? And then the next play, Ohio State scored a touchdown. a 75-yard pass from Will Howard to Travion Henderson. Wow. What a way to answer right back. And they take the lead at halftime 14-7. In the third quarter, Texas scored a touchdown. They tied it up at 14 apiece. And then in the fourth quarter, Ohio State scored again, 21-14. Okay, so with about a few minutes left in the game, Texas was marching down the field looking like they were going to tie up the game here. And you can look here, the win probability throughout the game. All right, so Ohio State got back-to-back pass interference calls, which means automatic first down for Texas. So it was first and goal, okay, at the Ohio State 1, and you think, okay, it's first and goal at the 1. You should be able to get a yard in a couple of plays for a touchdown. Nope, that did not happen. Second and goal. This is stupid. The quarterback, Quinn Ewers, no, excuse me. That was third and goal. This is second and goal. Texas, they try to run, a loss of 7 yards, and it was some stupid play that they were doing. Go ahead and watch that. Go find the highlight or the highlights video. And then third and goal. Third and goal. Okay, here. This is what I meant to look at. Third and goal. Quinn Ewers pass incomplete. So then fourth and goal. Okay. Well, what I thought they would do is kick a field goal. Make it a 21-17 game, because they have, at the time, fourth and goal. There was just, it was about 2.5 minutes left. Texas has 2 timeouts, and remember, you have the 2-minute warning in college football. You have the 2-minute warning, so you really have 3 timeouts. The thing is, they have to play defense. They have to stop Ohio State. That's what I would have done. I probably wouldn't have gone for it. But instead, they went for it, and all hell has broken loose. Fumble. Scoop and score for Ohio State. The player, Jaden Fielding. Actually, no. That's not his name. What's the name? Oh, Jack Sawyer. Excuse me. Jack Sawyer. An 83-yard fumble return. Scoop and score to give Ohio State a 28-14 lead with 2:13 left, and I'm like, wow, this team, it's all business. And to just see Ryan Day's reaction, it's so funny. And that's how Ohio State won. After that, Texas ran out of time. So I don't know what Texas was thinking, but Ohio State won the game 28-14, and they deserved it. Here they are in a national championship game, the number 8 seed in the playoff. Like, you're telling me that they're the 8th best team in the country? No, they're like the 2nd or 1st best team in the country now. Well, heading into the playoff, were they really the 8th best team? No. I guarantee you, Ohio State would have beaten Penn State. Or excuse me, Boise State. They would have beaten Indiana. This is something that they need. The committee needs to change or fix next season. It really should be 8 teams from the get-go. If not 8, then okay, do 16. You really shouldn't be having these teams with a bye. All 4 teams that had a bye all lost. It was embarrassing. Really embarrassing. So Ohio State is in the national championship, and they will be playing against Notre Dame on Monday, January the 20th, which is Martin Luther King Day and Inauguration Day. What a day that'll be. So Ohio State versus Notre Dame is set for the national championship game in Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I will be watching that. That'll be great. When I found out that's the national championship game, feels like we're going back in time. Back-to-back years, back-to-back national championship games with no SEC team. When's the last time that happened? You got to go back many years ago, because for a bunch of years in a row, an SEC team was in the national championship game. Alabama was in a bunch of them. LSU was in a couple of them. Auburn was in one. Florida was in one. Recent years, Georgia, and now no SEC team. Back-to-back years. I'm sure a lot of SEC haters like that. Now, I live in the Southeast, so obviously I'm a big fan of the SEC football. Throughout the regular season, I would watch SEC on ABC. I love it. I find it entertaining. But I'm not disappointed that for the second straight year, no SEC teams in it. Ohio State versus Notre Dame sounds like an amazing matchup to me. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think Ohio State's the favorite. Yeah, so the national championship game. Number 8 seed versus the number 7 seed. The 2 lowest seeds. Well, not counting the 4 teams that had the bye, if that makes sense. But isn't that weird? But let's be real. This year's playoff really should have been 8 teams. But yeah. The national championship game is set Monday, January the 20th. And now, let's talk about the NFL wild card playoffs. Playoffs? So you know what we're going to do? Let's play that NFL prime time music. Oh yeah. Classic from ESPN, Chris Berman. Yeah, Chris Berman. You don't really see him much anymore because he's kind of an old guy now, but he'll always do his show at the Super Bowl. NFL prime time at the Super Bowl. All right. So let's get down to business, shall we? So, to be honest with you guys, I did not watch any of these wild card games, but I do know what happened. So let's talk about that. Starting off, first of all, yeah, I did a playoff bracket challenge video on my main channel, Eric Super Magnificent. I did 2 brackets, so I'm going to be going through those brackets. The first bracket is my main bracket, and the second bracket is more of like the upsets bracket, because sometimes upsets happen. Not too much in the NFL postseason. But I can now say that, okay, I'm going to check my bracket. So, bracket number 1, which is my main bracket, I got 2 games incorrect. The game that I got incorrect was the first one between the LA Chargers and the Houston Texans. I thought the Chargers would win. I know the game was in Houston, but I thought I could have seen LA pull off the so-called upset, but that didn't happen. The Houston Texans won 32-12. All right. The game after that night, the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Baltimore Ravens, a divisional rivalry matchup. And I picked the Ravens to win. I knew they would win. I was pretty confident in that, and they won 28-14. I saw that Derrick Henry touchdown. Man, what a beast that player is. He's unbelievable. Isn't this his first year as a Raven? Yeah, because for years he was with the Tennessee Titans. Now the Tennessee Titans, they suck. Alright. And now Sunday's games. Denver Broncos against the Buffalo Bills. I didn't thought this game would be a blowout, but it turned out to be a blowout. Buffalo won 31-7. I knew they would win, but I didn't thought it would be this beating. The game after that was the Green Bay Packers against the Philadelphia Eagles. I picked the Eagles to win. The game was in Philly, and they won 22-10. And then the game that night, which I knew this would be a close one, between the Washington Commanders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The game was in Tampa because Tampa won their division, even though that is the weakest division in the whole league. Isn't that crazy? Like 10 years ago, that was like the best division. Now it's the worst. So, I saw some of the highlights on the Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt. First of all, SVP, Scott Van Pelt, he's doing a show for 4 days in a row, 4 nights in a row. Thursday night because of the first CFP semifinal, Friday night because of the second CFP semifinal, Saturday night because of the 2 wildcard games, Sunday night more wildcard games, and then Monday night because there was one more wildcard game on Monday night. 5 days in a row, 5 nights in a row for Scott Van Pelt. He is the man, and I really like listening to his podcast, SV Pod, where you can get it on the ESPN app for free. So I knew this game would be close between the Commanders and the Buccaneers. This game I got it incorrect. I picked the Buccaneers to win. I wasn't too confident in this one because, like I said, I knew this game would be close, but the Commanders won a very lucky game-winning field goal. So yeah, the game was tied at 20. The Commanders got the game-winning field goal, and it hit the upright, and it went in. It went through. You don't see that very often. What an ending. And Dan Quinn, the Commanders head coach, his reaction was pretty funny. And this was the Commanders' first playoff win since 2005. About 20 years. So it was about time. And now there's one more game tonight between the Minnesota Vikings and the LA Rams. And now I don't know if I mentioned this in the last episode of KSN, but the game has been moved to Glendale, Arizona, where the Arizona Cardinals play. And the reason why is because of the wildfires in LA. That's crazy. Wildfires in LA during the winter. I guess it doesn't get cold there during the winter. But I know it's very dry there. Damn. That's all I can say. I just hope. A lot of people live there. A lot of people live there. Also, the NHL's LA Kings and the NBA's LA Lakers games have been postponed. And I checked the NBA schedule. The LA Lakers are set to play tonight as I speak. It is... Oops, excuse me. Didn't mean to hit the microphone. I apologize if that was loud. The LA Lakers are set to play tonight as I speak. I'm recording this at 2:43 a.m. before I go to sleep. Because remember, I record these in advance, and I would schedule these in advance when I release them at 11 a.m. Central Time on Mondays and Fridays. I picked the LA Rams to win. The LA Rams, I've never liked that team, especially after they beat the Saints to go to the Super Bowl 6 years ago. But I'll be watching that game because it's on ESPN. Peyton and Eli on ESPN2. This is their last one of the season. And I wonder if Bill Belichick's going to be on there. Because Bill is now the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels of college football. Will he be on there? I think he will be. He's also on Let's Go with Jim Gray on Sirius XM. Pretty good show to listen to. So I will be watching that. I love the Manning cast. So that is bracket number 1. Bracket number 2. Which games did I get incorrect? Okay, yeah, I somehow picked the Denver Broncos to win. That is my upset, but that didn't happen. And I picked the Green Bay Packers to upset the Eagles. That did not happen as well. So the only visiting team that has won so far is the Washington Commanders. So the game was supposed to be in LA between the Vikings and the Rams. So the Rams are still the home team, even though the game won't be in LA. So, and the schedule is set pretty much for next weekend's, or this weekend I should say, the divisional matchups, or the divisional rounds. So let me go through those real quick, and I'll do another episode on Friday of me previewing the divisional round games, and also the National Championship game, if I have time. Okay, so Saturday, we have the Houston Texans taking on the number 1 seed in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs, at 3:30 p.m. Central Time on ESPN and ABC. And then that night will be the Washington Commanders taking on the number 1 seed in the NFC, the Detroit Tigers, at 7 p.m. Central on Fox. And then Sunday, the winner of tonight's wild card matchup will go to Philadelphia and take on the Eagles at 2 p.m. Central on NBC and Peacock. So the game is not only on Peacock, it's also on NBC. Remember what happened a whole year ago? We had a playoff wild card game only on Peacock. That was stupid. Yeah, this year we had a wild card game on Amazon Prime, but you know, Amazon Prime broadcasts Thursday Night Football. So more people have that. So that's not as bad as having a game only on Peacock. Like, what's next? Having a game only on... Oh! CBS. There's a game on CBS and Paramount Plus. Like, I was going to say, what if that game was only on Paramount Plus? That would be stupid. So, the game on CBS and Paramount Plus is the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills at 5:30 p.m. Central. That is going to be the biggest matchup out of all 4, the Ravens and Bills, because people are going to look at it like, damn, that could have been the AFC Championship game. You know, no disrespect to the Kansas City Chiefs. Listen, the Houston Texans, in my opinion, have no chance in beating the Chiefs. So, yeah. Man, Ravens and the Bills, man, that would have been a great AFC Championship game. The winner of that game would go to the Super Bowl, but nope. And this is the problem for the Buffalo Bills. They just can't... It seems like they just can't go to the AFC Championship game. But hey, you're not facing the Kansas City Chiefs for a change. Although you're facing another tough team. Yes, they have the home field, so that will matter. I think that game will be very close. And what was it, like week 4 or week 3? I think it was in September. These two teams faced each other in Baltimore, and Baltimore won that game by a lot. So, but obviously that was back then. That was a while ago. This game's in Buffalo. We'll see what happens. And these games will be cold, except for Detroit, because Detroit's stadium is indoors. But Kansas City will be cold. Philadelphia will be cold. Buffalo will be cold. Might be snowing. It depends. That's why I said Houston has no chance, in my opinion, against Kansas City. Baltimore does have a chance against Buffalo. And tonight's wild card matchup, I have the LA Rams beating the Vikings, but I'm not too confident in that one. So either the Vikings or the Rams will go to Philadelphia and play the Eagles on Sunday afternoon. All right. Okay. So that is my NFL talk. And now, one last thing I want to talk about is tennis. That's right. If you're a tennis fan, the Australian Open has just begun. That is one of the 4 Grand Slams of the year. The reason why it's in January is because in Australia, it's summertime over there. It's the opposite. They're under the equator. So basically, right now it's January. Over there, it feels like July. Okay, it's the complete opposite. So yeah, the Australian Open is my favorite tournament, favorite tennis tournament, my favorite Grand Slam out of the 4 majors. Yeah, the Australian Open is my number 1 favorite, and that was also the first one that I got into back in like 2017. I remember watching the women's final between the Williams sisters, Serena against Venus. Speaking of Venus, somehow she is not retired yet. Like, I thought she retired. She's 44 years of age and she's not retired yet. With all due respect, it would have been, listen, Serena is Venus's younger sister. Serena retired in September of 2022 after the U.S. Open. And I thought Venus would retire with her because they were playing doubles together for the final time. Why isn't Venus retired? I know that sounds kind of mean, but she's not an active player anymore. So in my opinion, she's retired, with all due respect to Venus. So, I mean, I've always liked her. I've always liked Serena. It's just kind of weird, that she's not actually retired. I mean, she's 44 for crying out loud. But anyways, the Australian Open, I always enjoy watching that. I was actually watching some of that earlier tonight. It actually started on Saturday night for those that live in United States and Canada. It actually started on Saturday night. It usually starts on Sunday night. I think the reason why they started a day earlier this year was because of what happened last year. There was a match that ended. It was either last year or the year before. Maybe I'm thinking of the Andy Murray Tanasi Kokonakis match. But wait, was that round 1 or round 2? I forgot. But basically, that quick story on that match, Kokonakis and Murray, that match ended after 4 a.m. Australian time. That's insane. And I think that was in 2023, and I think something similar happened again in 2024. I think a match started super late or something like that because the previous match wouldn't end sooner enough because that match went on forever. You can't really move a match to a different tennis court, especially if it's in a stadium court, And I think people were criticizing, why are they playing? Why is the match starting at 11 p.m. at night? And I agree, that's ridiculous. So I think, because round 1 has so many matches, 128 players on the men's and women's draw. So they kind of want to spread them out, have the round 1 matches in a span of 3 days instead of 2. So that was a good idea. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'll talk more about the Australian Open in the next episode and the episode after that throughout the tournament. All right. Oh, who do I think will win? On the women's side, I'm not too sure. It could be Sabalenka or Swiatek. On the men's side, it could be Sinner or Alcaraz. I think those are the two favorites on both the men and women's side. Last year's champions, Yannick Sinner and Arina Sabalenka, they might win it again. I won't be too surprised. So yeah. Alright guys, that's going to do it for KSN Episode 8. Enjoy tonight's wildcard matchup. Enjoy the Australian Open. We'll talk more about that on Friday's episode of KSN. Have a good night. See you next time. Thank you for listening to Keith's Sports News.